Right? And by the way, you may think you have 3, but I bet many of you do not. A true apostle. I've been in business 30 years as a speaker. I probably don't have many more than 12, because it takes work. It takes work to build apostles, and it takes work to keep apostles. And many people don't want to put in the time and effort. But it pays back in immense dividends. And here's how simple this is. This is as simple as it gets. You ready for this? Here's how you create more apostles. Number 1, I want you to write down the names of all your apostles. And again, I'd be surprised if many of you had more than 4, 5, 6. 6, I would be shocked. Real apostles. I'm not talking about good customers. I'm talking about apostles. People are out there just preaching the gospel for you. Number 2, I want you to look at the names of those apostles that you write down, and then I want you to write out a list of things that you do with those apostles that you might not do with your other customers, or things you do with those apostles that you do with other customers, but you do more of it and you do it better with your apostles. Now, what do you think that might be? Now, I want to show you how this works, because there's a little catch here. So those of you who have apostles, if you were going to write one thing down that you do with your apostles that you might not do with any of your other customers, or you do it better or more with your apostles than you do your other, what would that be? What would you write down on that list? Anybody? Communicate. All right, now, I was hoping I'd get something like that. All right? Here's why I asked for this, because I knew I'd get something general. I communicate with them. All right? Now, that's important, but watch what we're going to do here. I want somebody looking at this list. Another person in your company looks at this list and they say, I communicate with them. What would they do? What does that mean, I communicate with them? Is that open to interpretation? Yes. How do I communicate? How often do I communicate? What mode of communication do I use? Now, so let's get specific. I'm looking for something that I write down that somebody else could look at for the very first time and say, I know exactly what to do. It's spelled out right there. So let's go back to, I communicate with them. Give me a specific. Family. So you get involved with them in family-related activities? Okay. Now that's, so what he's saying is with apostles, he actually gets involved in family-related activities with the apostles. So if it's a child's graduation, if it's a birthday, it's an anniversary, you may celebrate it with them. So they're probably also friends too, aren't they? There's a social aspect here. All right, so I could write that down and somebody can say, oh, all right, now I know that with apostles I am doing specific social things that celebrate events in the lives of those people, whether it's birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, whatever. Okay, that is what I'm looking for. Give me another one. Yes?
After they give me a referral, I call them and let them in all the positives of that.
Okay, so
whether they ask me to or not.
okay, so what she's saying is after they give her a referral, she calls them back and gives them the lowdown on everything that happened, positive, negative, results, success, failure. Okay, now, I'm going to say that that is something you should do with everybody, not just your apostles. You should do that with everybody, because you're going to get a lot more referrals that way. But, okay, but it is something that is very specific, and I thank you for it. Anything else? One more, ladies and gentlemen, all the way up there. You take them to seminars. Do you have one with you? All right. Are you an apostle? Take them to seminars, educational activities. All right, so these are the types of things that I want you to write down there. As many as possible. Now here's the last step. Last step. I have my apostles. I have what I do with them in as much specificity as possible. And then third and final, I want to write out a list of current customers that you can turn into apostles. Now, here's the catch. However many apostles you have written down, let's say you have written down 4, I want you to write down twice as many customers, like 8. If you have 5 apostles, you're going to write 10. If you have 3 apostles, you're going to write 6. I do not want you to get carried away and write down 20 if you have 3 apostles. It's going to fail. It's going to overwhelm you. All I'm asking you to do is however many apostles you write down, put down twice as many current customers, good customers, who, if nurtured the right way, can be converted to apostles. So, with the names of these customers, what are you going to do with them? You're going to do more of the stuff up there. The things that you do with your current apostles, you're now going to do with these targeted good customers who you want to convert to apostles. And here's what I'm telling you. You will convert, guaranteed, half of them. So in the next 2 to 3 years, if you do this, each and every year, you'll double the number of apostles that you have. If you start with 3 in 2 years, guess how many you'll have? 12. 3 years, you start with 2, you're going to have more than 12. You'll have 16. But that is a specific plan. And by the way, this should all be done on a single sheet of paper. You put it in a page protector, and you have it where you see it. Let's talk about several components of customer loyalty, all right? Building value for the customer, that's number 1. Creating a perception of difference is number 2. Number 3 is selling several different products. Number 4 is exceeding customer expectations. And 5 is building an emotional attachment. 5 ways that you can build more customer retention, more customer loyalty, and apostles. Now I'm going to go through this quickly and watch. First of all, how do you build value for the customers? By understanding a bedrock concept of collaborative selling. And here it is. In selling, as in medicine, prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. Anybody who attempts to sell a solution to a customer before fully understanding the customer's needs from the customer's point of view is engaging in sales malpractice. All the information that you gather from your customers will fall into one of 2 categories. Problems that you can help them solve, or opportunities that you can help them seize. As you're doing your needs analysis, ladies and gentlemen, put the information that you gather into one of those 2 categories. Hey, here's a problem I can help them solve. Here's an opportunity I can help them seize. Problem, opportunity. As you're gathering information, there's key pieces of information that you should be uncovering. What is the customer doing now, and what should they or could they be doing? The difference between what they should be doing and what they currently do is called the need gap. Crucial aspect in selling, crucial concept, the need gap. If what they're doing now and what they think they should be doing are pretty close to each other, very small need gaps, very small need gap, what's the likelihood they're going to take action? Not much. What they're doing now versus what they should be doing, if there's a big difference, a big need gap, what's the likelihood they're going to take action now? Pretty big. So your goal as a salesperson is to make them ask the questions that make them discover for themselves that what they're doing right now is not what they should be doing, and make them raise their sights and goals and objectives that there is something better they can be doing. The bigger the need gap, more likely they're going to take action. We want to find out what are their relevant past experiences dealing with our company, dealing with our competitors, dealing with a product or service such as the one that we sell, and were they positive or negative experiences. We want to find out who the decision makers are, especially if it's business-to-business selling, and what the decision-making process is. How do you go about making a decision such as this in your home, in your business? We want to find out what our competitive exposure is. For instance, if they're only talking to us and nobody else, you would sell one way. But if they're talking to you and your competitors, you would sell a bit differently, wouldn't you? So, crucial to understand your competitive exposure. What are their expectations? How will they judge 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the road whether or not doing business with you, doing business with your company, buying your product or service, 3, 6, or 12 months down the road was the right decision. How will they measure that? And what's their time and budget constraints? Let's talk about how you create a perception of difference in the mind of the customer. Again, if there is competitive exposure, ladies and gentlemen, you need to know how you stack up against the competition. What are your advantages? In other words, what can you offer to your customers that your competitors can't and that your customers value? And what are the disadvantages that you have? And you do that for your major competitors, competitor A, B, C, D, whoever the major competitors are. One at a time, you want to say, here's how we have an edge over them, which is a selling point, and here's a disadvantage that we have. Disadvantages you can send back up to your manager or corporate, and hopefully some of these disadvantages can be corrected. Others can't. Sometimes you have what we may call a systemic disadvantage. It cannot be changed. For instance, your major competitor has been in business 20 years. Your company has only been in business 3 years. Not much you can do to change that. But there are ways that we can twist a perceived disadvantage into an advantage. And you can learn from a defense attorney on this one. Whenever an attorney is defending somebody who has something in their background that might negatively affect the way a jury looks at this person, what would a good defense attorney do? Wait for the prosecutor to bring it up? No, not at all. They bring it up, because if you bring it up in the best possible light. So if the competitor has 20 years, you have 3 years, you don't wait. You bring it up. One of the advantages that we bring to the table is that we are a new company. We're a new company, but we have a lot of experience with our top execs. But a company that is built on new technology, new platform, fresh ideas, as opposed to some of the other companies who have been around seemingly forever, and they're kind of stuck in an old mentality. We never mention company names, but we bring up and we put a positive spin on it. Now, what about products bought from you? What we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is cross-sell as many products and services as possible. And here's why. The more products a person buys from you, the less likely they will take their business elsewhere. Here's a rule of thumb. Anybody in here from a bank? Anybody from bank, savings and loan, all right, credit union? Here's an interesting thing that we learned many, many years ago. When a customer buys only a single product from the bank, checking, savings, loan, credit card, whatever it is, only one product, there's a 50% chance that within 12 months they'll take their business elsewhere. But if you can sell them two different products, instead of a 50% chance of losing the customer, it drops to 10%. 3 products, 5%. 4 products, 3%. So the more products you sell, it's almost like putting golden handcuffs on the customer. It's harder for them to get out the more products they have. So not only do you make more money, more profit by selling more products, but you actually create more customer retention. I believe that what we need to do is, if you want to create apostles, you want to create long-term loyal customers, you must create an emotional attachment. People do business with people they like. You will pay more money to do business with somebody that you like and trust. Even though you can get it elsewhere cheaper, you will actually pay a little bit more to deal with somebody you like and trust. How many of you feel that you actually do that? There's value in the relationship. So what I'm asking you to do is simply, number one, increase the quantity of communication that you have with your customers. I believe the buyer-seller relationship is not unlike a marriage, in that the more communication, the stronger the bond. The less communication, the weaker the bond. That was borne out by a survey where they asked recently divorced couples. A divorced couple is almost like a customer saying, I'm not going to do business with you anymore. They asked recently divorced couples, what were the significant contributing factors to their divorce? There were a lot of different reasons, but I'll tell you what number one was: a lack of communication. 87%. 87% of the people picked the lack of communication. Well, of course, the researchers were beside themselves. They figured that they had the early warning signal for married couples. One more time, how many of you are married? Because I want to see if you can answer this question. They went out and asked married couples, as I'm going to ask you, How frequently do you communicate with your spouse in a week?